Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Women in Gaming Meetup. My name is Jiva. I am a streamer and a community manager here at Reveris. So Reveris is here as an accelerator to empower startups in esports gaming and game development. But here, where I am right now physically, this is the venue we have, the Reveris Hub, which is already open for co-working, but when the epidemic loosens its restrictions, we hope to open it also just for a hangout, to get a drink with friends, anything like that, everything for esports enthusiasts and gaming enthusiasts and lovers. So today we are going to be talking about female esports leagues, and I am joined here by Maša, also Maša IDK. She is a competitive PUBG and Counter-Strike player, CSGO player, and a captain of Sneaky Fox's Counter-Strike team. So I will first invite you all to turn on your camera if you can. It's easier to speak to a face than to a muted icon. And yeah, let's start. So I'm first going to give my word to Maša, so you can introduce yourself, who you are, what you do.
Alright, my name is MasaIDK. I come from Slovenia, I'm 18 years old and I'm a competitive CSGO and PUBG player. At the moment I'm playing for a team called Sneaky Foxes, team of average players. I'm the captain of the CSGO team. And I'm also playing with Team Welcome to Fear Peer
Yes.
in Norwegian League.
Sorry, yes. You finished?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So the first question, I'm just gonna generally ask the question about what you think about female leagues, and then we can go more into detail in the future.
Alright, like mostly I rarely see female leagues because I don't see a lot of players. From a CSGO perspective, they're like once a year maybe on DSL, and even attendance it's quite low because you need to verify all the data. So they're gonna make sure you're actually a female because some people abuse that.
Mhm.
And overall, you only find a few hubs on Faceit, for example, to play with other females because it's a big scene, but at the same time, there are like not a lot of competitive players which are actually good enough to play against each other.
Mhm. And so, do you think it is better for women to have their own, like, female leagues? Like, is it better for them to get it started, or is it doing more damage because of the gender gap that it's already seen in esports?
I mean, it really depends. If females are able to counter, let's say, male teams, I don't see an issue why they shouldn't like play together because there is no rule which actually restricts females from playing with the males.
Hmm.
But after some time, it became a little bit more clear that most of the time, men put a lot more work into aim practice, coordination in the game, and females are most of the time just there to have fun, to play, to like challenge themselves a little bit more.
Mm. Yeah, I think that it's in general, I think that the idea behind female leagues is not a bad idea. I mean, it wasn't meant to do bad to women. It was meant to probably, like you said, to give more initiative to women to even consider going like pro or at least competitive, if not pro. But it can, like, in the future, create more gaps. For example, one of my coworkers actually gave me an example of chess as well. In chess, you also have female leagues and male leagues, and it creates a gap between genders, even though there's no real reason why those two couldn't compete with each other. Um, so I wanted to ask you, while we're on this topic, if you saw the Evil Geniuses that announced the new Valorant team that is gender mixed. So it has 3 females and 2 males um, playing, and Cloud9, I think, had a full female team as their A team competing in Valorant as well. So what do you think about that? And do you think that the mixed is better, or maybe all female is better?
I mean, overall, from different perspectives, I mean, if we see more female players, that's actually good for the scene because people are going to see, all right, maybe I can do it too.
Mhm.
But in the case, because we rarely actually find female players, it's good to actually mix teams a little bit more so they can actually play and not just wait infinite amount of time to actually start playing there.
Mhm. Yeah, and it also shows, I think, that like we can be on the same level. Like we
Yeah.
can play mixed. It doesn't have to be female leagues and male leagues or whatever. Um, so I am gonna start the first poll here for our viewers. The first poll says, I'm gonna launch it now. Uh, Basically, what we just discussed. So, what do the viewers think about female leagues? Is it a good way to introduce esports to more women or not? So, possible answer is yes. It should stay this way. It should stay separated. The other one is yes, but only in the beginning to help females get started in the esports industry, or just no because it creates bigger gaps between genders. So we're gonna let this poll on for the next questions, and then we're gonna see the results of the poll. So the next question or the next topic I wanted to go through was a lot of people try to compare esports to like physical sports. Mm, so physical sports are normally separated between male and female athletes because it's a fact that male and female bodies are different and you can't compete together. But when it comes to esports, these differences do not come into play. So again, like, should we really keep separate leagues? Because it's not like physically we're not different. I mean, it doesn't make a difference. So should we just do leagues, not female leagues and male leagues, just leagues?
I mean, yeah, it's like logical that in normal sports there comes to the difference between female and male bodies. But overall in esports, it sometimes also depends because some people, but it actually depends on the type of person because sometimes they're gonna involve better muscle memory, they're gonna actually put more time into it. But on the other hand, some people just have natural talent and they just, I mean, they should like keep leagues probably separated for now because if you see a female team who can actually counter male teams at the moment, sure they can join. Like no one is actually for they're not forbidden to join male leagues. It's
Mhm.
not even like a male league; it's just basically a
It's just
league.
league. Yeah, it's league and female league. So
Yeah, so no, they're not forbidden to join, but I don't think any team actually prove they're actually able to counter them. For example, in CS:GO we have XZ, which is full of female players, and they're actually able to counter the male scene, but at the same time they're not putting so much time into it, probably because of other life things.
mhm. Yeah. And like you said, they can, like, anyone can join a normal league. So it's not that bad that female leagues exist in general, but it can like discourage, I feel like. You know, you feel bad that you have to be put in a different box just because of your gender.
Yeah, sometimes like even interesting to see how people underestimate you because yeah, you're a female, you know how to play because most of the population in the female gaming are not even trying to go competitive
Yeah.
and they're just here to have fun, to stream and those kind of things.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna show the results of the poll. Just in a second. There we go. So most people think that it is a good idea to have female leagues in the beginning to help women get started in the esports. A lot of people also think that it creates bigger gaps, and one person thinks that it should stay separated. So, if whoever voted for the first one, I would actually be really interested into hearing your side, because like this is not a threat. This sounded like a threat. This was not meant as a threat. Just I really want to hear other perspectives of this. So you can unmute yourself, or if you're shy, you can type in chat. Okay. In the meantime, I'm gonna start the second poll so we can leave the poll on mm, while we do the other themes, the other questions. And the next question is more related to women. So do did you ever consider it as a woman becoming an esports player is the question. So this is targeted at women in our chat right now. So the possible answers are yes, I am one. Yes, I want to, but I don't have either the time or skills needed. or then you have, yes, I am trying to become one. Yes, but I am afraid of harassment. Or just know that you never really thought about becoming an esports player. So I'm going to leave this poll on a little bit again while we continue to our next question, which is, what, in your opinion, is the reason we don't see more women in esports?
I mean, I would probably say because they didn't put as much as time as needed into it, and because mostly gaming at a young age is introduced to the boys,
Mhm.
and basically later, usually in puberty, females actually like start playing games, and they're playing it for fun, to play with friends, to stream games,
Mhm.
and they're not like trying to actually reach high level because most of mentality, but it really depends where you live. Mm, it's basically more in the way you're a female, you should, I don't know, stream, you should play for fun, you should put a lot of time into it while you're sitting behind the computer, and those kind of
Mhm.
things.
Yeah, and like that's what in the poll I put in, yes, but I'm afraid of harassment. So I think even when I speak to like other girls that I know, um, a lot of times I hear like they would play more or they would like try to go like more competitive and stuff, but they are just afraid, like they don't want to deal with the harassment, they just don't want to deal with it, so they just decide not to do it. Because in the I mentioned this study in the last meetup, women in gaming meetup we had. It was the study done in 2019. There were about 50% of gamers, like 50% male, 50% female, when we talk about only gamers. But then when we were talking about esports, like players, professional players, it was, I think it was 97% versus 3% women. So I think that that definitely plays a big factor that you mentioned, that it's introduced more to boys than to girls when they are at a young age. And then a lot of times, from what I've witnessed from like my own friends and people I know, a lot of them just say like, no, I'm just not gonna do it. Like, I don't want to deal with this.
I mean, because even if you want to put as much as time as you want to actually become a pro player or anything like that, or a competitive player or play on the higher level, you're gonna basically need to deal with a male population who's gonna try to harass you, to tell you you're not
Mhm.
able to do it. Because, for example, on Face It, if you play Counter Strike, you're playing with other males, or even if you play just classic competitive, you
Mhm.
don't have like a way to actually play only with women who are like trying to improve themselves or anything.
Mm.
Because as soon as you use voice chat, they're gonna be like, wait, are you a boy or are you a girl? Oh my god,
Yeah.
do you know how to play and those kind of things?
Yeah, I sometimes just decide not to use my mic in games, even though you need communication, because there's better communication if I don't speak and at least they communicate with each other than if I speak and everyone's just yelling at me. So sometimes it's better. But yeah, that's why I always hated when someone said like, "Oh, of course there's not as many esports players, like there's less women that decide to go into this as a profession, as a viable profession." But then I always ask them like, "Yeah, but why is that?" You know, like there are other factors at play here. So I'm gonna stop the poll here and share results of the poll. So we have a three-way tie. Someone said that they already are an esports player. Someone wants to be but don't have the time or skill needed to compete. And one of our ladies said that they are not interested, which is also okay. Like you said, playing for fun is okay as well. And that brings us to the last question, which is, what, in your opinion, would we need to close the gap between genders in the industry?
Probably first thing we'll do to like change mentality of the people, because if someone is a girl or anything, this doesn't mean they're like worse than you or anything.
Mm,
I mean, it's true in most cases, but how are you gonna know if you don't even give them a chance or anything to prove?
yeah.
Or even if you're like trying to find a full female team or to play in an organization or anything, most of the time they're not interested because they would just waste money on you, because there are not a lot of leagues, there are not a lot of competitions.
Mm,
But still, most of the female players don't even consider joining male leagues or anything, for example on ESCA for CSGO, or even on Challenger mode, any tournaments or something like that. Because they just don't see the point, because most of the time they will get destroyed. That even became a meme in League of Legends when all female team lost in like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, but here's again the thing, right? That probably happened to other teams at some point as well, but everyone's gonna point out the female team that
Yeah,
lost in 15 minutes.
that's like the problem.
Yeah. I actually read an article about this exact same like question or topic about what would we need to close the gap in esports, like between male and female. And there was a woman there as like that was being interviewed, and she also mentioned, which I think is very important, is the lack of female role models in esports. So when a little boy wants to become a professional Counter-Strike player, and he's like, "Oh, I want to be like Olaf Meister," right? But then, what does a little girl think?
I mean, they can probably think, oh my god, I want to be like Juliano, she's actually a really good player. Or Michelle, they're playing for Beak, I think, or Exit, I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No, I'm not saying that there's no role models. Is there's
yeah,
so many
it's
more
like
male?
you basically have like basically like two good players you can actually look up to.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you're gonna have older female players which are also decent, but they're just like not put attention so much because they weren't able to destroy a full man team or anything like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem that we face not only in esports but physical sports as well. How many times do you see female leagues being like super popular or viewed on TV or stuff like that? Usually they always have male leagues promoted as well.
Yeah, that's also true because it's also a big problem even in real life and in gaming about sexism because
Hmm.
they're trying to sexualize everything and they're thinking, all right, so one of the girls is doing that, so they need to do also the same because of the mentality. If you're like competitive gamer, you're gonna probably look, I don't know, like you will not show over, you just look like completely like you gave up on life or anything like that. And that's usually like not even expected from a woman in society, like overall.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to mention at one of the meetups we talked about more a bit about like sexism and sexism in gaming and how to like try to lessen it and stuff like that. And we had a Slovenian streamer here as a speaker, and she also said that she always gets, it always bothers her that when they realize that she's a woman, playing whatever she's playing, it's like the entire weight of women in esports or is being on her shoulder. Like if she's bad, all women are bad, in that
Yeah,
sense. So she's always like, no, like don't put that pressure on me. Like I'm not that good, I'm just trying to play here.
yeah, I'm like just trying to have fun. I'm not trying to prove anything anyone,
Yeah,
but they're gonna like keep all eyes on you. If you're gonna do the mistake, it's gonna be end of the world. But if someone else is gonna do the mistake, all right, it happened. They're gonna laugh a little bit, and it's gonna be like forgotten.
that is very hard also from a perspective of a caster. If I, when I'm casting a game, I make a mistake, everyone, like the comments are going to be flooded with what is she doing here, she doesn't know what she's talking about. When a caster makes a mistake, it's like, haha, he made a mistake. Okay, let's move
Yeah.
on. So does anyone have any questions from the viewers maybe? No questions. Okay, I'm kind of running out of questions here myself. So what do you think are good next steps to do in esports, then like actual steps to do in esports to maybe bring women a bit more forward, like just they even if they seem impossible, just what do you think would be the next steps?
Basically introduce competitive gaming to most of the female players, actually to show them you're actually able to do it. Not just
Mhm.
like, all right, there are like female leagues, even like promoting female leagues would help, even creating more female teams or anything like that.
Mhm.
Even if you're like not high skilled or anything, just play. It
Yeah.
doesn't like matter at all. You're gonna probably, I don't know, you're gonna get destroyed by other females, you're gonna get destroyed by, I don't know, a random team in a competitive. It doesn't matter, you just need to keep playing because if you're gonna stop at a certain point and be like, all right, I lost, I will not be able to do it. Oh my god, people are like harassing me or anything. I mean, harassment is bad, but at the same time, you're gonna actually prove them wrong.
Mhm.
You're gonna prove them you're actually able to do it, and you just play and have fun and destroy other people.
That actually gave me another thing to think about that I didn't think about before. Is like, everyone is bad when we start off. You don't just magically get good at a game. You have to play it for a long time to get good at it. Maybe also it's like how, like we mentioned, how females get discouraged when they're not good at, and males don't get at least as much discouragement. So maybe that is why we see more male players in esports, because they keep going and the females get completely discouraged and they prefer to just stop.
Yeah, and also it like doesn't even matter because usually that's like I actually discussed that with some friends yesterday. Males usually put a lot more time into aim practice. They were putting a lot more time into gaming, and females are just like playing for fun, or they don't see a point of actually trying to put some time into it because they don't have the team to play with. They don't have
Mm.
motivation to play because, as I said, female leagues are pretty rare to happen in most of the games, and they just lose all motivation because they don't see a point. Why should I enter this if I'm like not good enough? I
Yeah.
mean, if you're gonna try, you have nothing to lose. I mean, they can laugh at you, but still you're gonna prove your point. You're gonna see what mistakes you made, where you need to improve. But if you're not putting time into it, yeah, it's basically not worth it.
Yeah, and I think that the most of the time the ones laughing at you are not the actual other pro players. They're like the people sitting with a bag of popcorn at your computer, at their computer, just watching you and thinking they know everything, and you could probably beat them in 1v1.
Yeah, that's like the most funniest thing. Usually, the people who actually bet are the most one who are complaining about the things.
Yeah, and I also saw that recently there was like a study made that they made like a study about toxicity against women in different ranks in different games. So they realized that they the at lower ranks there was much more toxicity towards women, and the players, the low ranked players, saw other men as like authority, but other women as like, a punching bag basically. But in high ranks that very rarely happened. In high ranks mostly people just didn't care, like your girl, your guy, just, let's just play.
Yeah, because you prove them point, alright, I'm actually good at the game. Because some people still don't understand as much as boys play for fun, girls can also play for fun too.
Yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
matter, I need to have, I know, 40 kills just to prove myself a point that I'm actually good in this game. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would we need to prove ourselves?
Yeah.
We don't have to. We can just play to have fun. Any other questions, maybe in the chat or in the with the viewers? Anything towards like toxicity, female leagues in general, women in gaming in general?
What do you think, Masha? How is girls in gaming in Slovenia?
I mean, I actually rarely see girls playing competitively in Slovenia. Actually, I know a single one except me. Like, not trying to prove anything wrong, but also I saw females in Sneaky Foxes. I saw them like overall worldwide, but specifically in Slovenia, I think they like rarely actually played. Because, for example, even in the Telia League, the league we play in Norwegian scene in PUBG, there are like a couple of girls who are actually like decent in the games, and they like actually keep playing because they have something, like they have motivation or anything.
Mm.
And it's not. I think it really depends on the country if the girls gonna play competitively or not. Because if the basic community is toxic, then most of the time they just wanna quit because they don't see a point of being, I don't know, being misgendered to anything or
Harassed.
yeah, harassed. My English just died.
Yeah, I actually know quite a lot of girls in Slovenia that play, but not a lot that compete like really on a competitive level. It's just mostly like Masha said multiple times before. Most is like just to have fun, play to have fun. Anyone else? Yep.
Did you ever experience like really harsh sexual harassment yourself, both of you, Jiva and Masha?
I mean, it actually happened like a couple of times when I wasn't actually that good in the games. And they were like, "Oh my god, can you like shut up or something like that?" But at the end, I didn't even mute them. I just laughed at their face. Sorry, because you're bad and I'm better than you. But like the still most common one is go back to the
Oh
kitchen,
yeah.
and I found the best counter on that one. I mean, I can go back to the kitchen and still wreck you. I don't mind.
Yeah, I get a lot. I get a lot because I play in lower ranks. I think Masha plays in higher ranks, so I think that's why you get a bit less as well. Like we mentioned before, I if I don't play with sneaky foxes like with the team and I go solo queue, it's like probably more than 50-50 that I get at least one person in my team that's gonna tell me to get back to the kitchen, or sometimes even a lot worse stuff that I wouldn't repeat on here. So this is pretty basic. Normally it depends, my reaction depends on how my day was. So sometimes I just mute. Sometimes I feel a bit sassy and I tell them I tell them off. Sometimes I just feel really bad about it. Like I feel really bad about it sometimes too, because if I had a bad day, I just want to relax and play a game of Valorant, and someone keeps yelling at me sexist remarks, then I'm gonna feel bad.
That's such a bad thing in our age. Like we should respect each other,
Yes.
especially when we're playing, because uh, when you're playing, it's like the your escape from reality. You're Yeah, I've experienced not like sexual harassment, but like bullying.
Yeah.
And like, when I used to play Warzone and Call of Duty, when I used to be in the lower ranks, it sucks, man. I swear.
Yeah, it does. In general, harassment, like it's not just towards women, like you said, you experience a lot of harassment as well. It's just even like if you're doing bad, whether you're a woman or not, like sometimes you have a bad day and it's okay. Just it's not the end of the world if you're gonna lose one game, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone else maybe?
Masha, you're a captain of a team, and you have four boys beside you. How do they listen to you? How do they respect your authority there?
I mean, sometimes I actually feel like I'm there, but that really depends because we are friends and we joke around and everything. But most of the time, when it comes to like serious stuff, they actually listen. Sometimes I need to like yell at them a little bit to actually start listening. But overall, yeah, it's actually quite fun to see because obviously like a lot of female captains like overall in the men's team. So it's actually quite fun experience, and we are mostly just like joking around and that kind of things. And yeah, they're listening.
So it's actually the boys have another mother in the games, so
Yeah,
they are used to listen
yeah, I
to.
didn't sign up for that.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, that's actually really interesting. Yeah. I guess you also had that how should I say, it was better because you known each other from before, right? Like you were friends.
um, Not with all of them. I basically
Oh, okay.
only in the team I only knew one. Basically, I only knew Didex from before. We played together like for 2 years,
Hmm.
and we just want to put a serious, not serious, always serious competitive team together.
Hmm.
And we just found some random people, and we started playing. And yeah, it wasn't even like any sexism or anything because we were here to have fun, and we just like this push to another level.
Yeah, like I guess you chose, when you choose people to be in the team, you wouldn't choose the sexist ones.
Not at all. I mean, maybe so I can like troll them and tell them they're bad in the face.
That's
But
the
otherwise,
next level of petty. Then
Yeah,
actually let them in the team just to tell them off.
yeah. I mean, yeah. You feel free to join, but your bets. Yeah.
I had a thought and it left me. I don't know what I was about to say. I wanted to ask you something else. Does anyone else have any questions? Well, I'll try to remember what I wanted to ask Maša.
I have one. So we know about the gender inequality issues and discussions about whether games should be segregated in terms of gender or no, with whether leagues should be segregated. But another aspect of it, do you think that mastering the game, okay, some parts are maybe easier or more difficult for women? I don't know. Is there a part in mastering CS:GO, for example, that is more difficult or easier compared to others? Maybe getting authority over your teammates, or anything that involves other people besides just bouncing off on top of my head. What do you think?
I mean, it really depends because anyway, you're gonna need to like put time into it. So it doesn't make a difference if you're male or female. You're gonna still need to put time into it, into the aim practice, into smoke practices, into map knowledge. But it just really depends how much time you actually put into it. So there's like not a big difference. It just really means how much time you're gonna actually be able to put into it.
Maybe also I wanted to mention like climbing ranks. Like we were just talking about how many problems as a woman you can have with teammates, you know, just yelling at you and trolling you. Sometimes you have other guys that would literally start griefing you. And for those who don't know what griefing means that you kill your own teammate. So they would start doing stuff like that just to troll you, and it might actually, in that question that Tom made, might actually make it in the beginning harder to climb ranks if you keep getting this kind of people that would basically prevent you from winning a game. But like we mentioned, when you're already like, if you get to a higher rank, there's a lot less harassment, I think. So you just got to get over that first bump.
I wanted to share a thought about the previous question Tom gave.
Yep.
I think that for girls it's maybe easier to, because you're known that you can multitask. And if you lead a team, you can focus on your playing and focus on playing the other teammates, so you can really lead good. So that's why we also put captain to Valorant team, a girl now. So
Yeah, she's in here, I think, right?
yeah,
I think
but
that's
she's
her.
shy.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we're known to be better multitaskers.
Beware of these claims because they are getting disputed by state-of-the-art research.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's more just from person to person than from male to female, how well you can multitask. Anyone else wants to jump in?
How is the let's say the attitude? We already said in lower ranks it's more toxic than in higher ranks. What about the age? Okay, I would guess, okay, that the younger the worse, like with any kind of toxicity, not just gender toxicity. How do peers, let's say in high school, look at, let's say, competitive female gamers? You know, because it could be a really challenging environment.
I mean, mostly they're gonna take you as a joke. They're gonna be, oh my god, girl is playing games, so she must be bad at it. And I proved them wrong like multiple times. I mean, feel free to challenge me, you're gonna probably lose. And so yeah, it's actually like quite fun, but it really depends how mature actually people are. Because
Yeah.
if they're gonna have like kids mentality, it doesn't matter what you're gonna do, you can like carry your team, you can communicate as much as you want, and they just gonna basically troll around or be, oh my god, I will not listen to a woman, or something like that, which comes from basically, I don't know, environment, from personal opinions.
You know, you could make a living out of challenging jerks, you know, for money, you know.
That's actually a good idea. I'm gonna try that one.
Yeah, exactly. In your face. Do you dare?
Yeah, just put aside, hey, you're bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
I actually once had I was a bit lucky. I'm not that good at games, but I got a very sexist teammate that kept telling me to go back to the kitchen and make him a sandwich. And I was actually lucky enough to be carrying that game. So I carried that game in the end. I was quiet the entire time. I didn't say a single thing to him. And just at the end of the game, when we won and I carried them, I told him that he should be the one going to the kitchen because the team needs me more than him. We actually got that's more for as a joke, but we get another question here from Tina in chat. She said, but in my experiences, the females are more emotional than guys, so the bad experiences affect them more. I know I get easily frustrated with the game and people. So what do you think about that? I'm gonna ask you first.
I mean, that's actually true, but I saw more guys crying about the game than actually girls. Like overall, even when I played in the female hub or anything, they were like more emotional about it because they're just trying to win by any cost. And
Yeah, sorry,
yeah,
continue.
and it really depends because I'm the type of person, I don't mind, I'm usually chill when I play games, but when I see we start losing for no reason, I'm just gonna go insane, I'm gonna go nuts, I'm gonna lose my mind. But I'm still trying to basically put this into a game. I'll not like frustrate myself on anything. I'm gonna try to basically put this, let's say, anger into my gameplay and actually wreck the enemies even more.
I actually don't agree with that statement in general from Tina, because it's been actually proven multiple times in some research that men are actually more emotional than women in general. Like, obviously, this is the kind of thing that differentiates itself from person to person, not only gender. But apparently, men are actually more emotional in general than women. Women just express it more. But yeah, like you said, sometimes get really emotional too. It's from person to person. I don't think that's got to do much with gender in general, in my opinion, at least. mm, on a bit of a funny topic, we actually discussed that before we started the official part of the meeting. So this is a bit of a funny question, more like it. But did you ever pretend you were a little boy in the voice chat?
I mean, it actually happened before I even like met my teammates or anything. They thought I was a boy. And it was actually quite fun to troll them around a little bit. But when they realized, it was even like more funnier because, oh my gosh, she's a girl, she knows how to play and those kind of things. So it was actually like a nice experience. I mean, why should I be serious if I could like troll them a little bit and then prove them wrong?
Yeah, in my experience, I used to do that all the time in Counter-Strike because then I wouldn't get yelled at, you know. So one time I was playing with randoms in Counter-Strike and they asked me if I'm a girl because I had a higher pitched voice. And I said like, no, I'm 12, don't worry about it. I'm just like a 12. I didn't hit puberty yet. And we went to play with the same group of people like 3 games in a row. And I ended up like, then after 3 games, I was like, hey, I was actually kidding, like I'm a girl, you know. And they were actually betting like behind my back whether I was a girl or a 12-year-old. We actually then became a team like way back in the day, and we played Counter-Strike together for years. So that's how I met my team. Yeah, Tina said that happened to her as well in Overwatch. The whole game they tried to guess if I was a child or a girl. I sometimes do that as well. Yeah.
And you're just like thinking, wait, are you a boy or are you a girl? And you're just like thinking. Can you think usually for like 10 rounds? I'm not trying to misgender or anything, or I'm not trying to be rude, but what are what are your pronouns? How should I call you?
Yeah. Well, at least they were being nice.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions before we finish up?
Yeah.
Maša, did you get any marital proposal in the game? I saw something last time we were streaming.
Yes.
I actually always mute the enemy team, but overall, yeah, it happened to be quite a lot of times. Basically, some random comments if I'm single or anything, and I'm just like thinking, yeah, I'm out. Have a great evening.
Yeah, then
And
you didn't notice last time that we were streaming your game, the enemy team captain tried to hit on you the entire game in the text chat.
Well, he tried, but he also failed in the other way.
Tom, did you have a question? You unmuted yourself.
Yep. A bit of a personal question. You can dodge it if you want, as much as you want. So, what do you plan to, let's say, study, or like your profession? Do you plan to stay in esports, or if not, what would be the choice, the path you would choose?
Like overall, I'm studying computer science, so it's again a little bit more on technology subject. But overall, if there's a chance, I'm gonna stay in esports because it's more fun than actually sitting and programming random things. Or even if you program something for esports companies or anything like that, that's even more fun because you have gaming experiences, you have gaming background, and there's a higher chances they will accept you. But for like a normal job, I'm gonna probably stick to the gaming if there's a chance.
Great.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Although I'm not good enough to be a pro player, but I do other stuff. I can cast and stuff like that. So you don't have to be high ranked to cast. We always said that if you're not a good enough player, just become a streamer or a caster. Anyone else? Okay, that's it then. So to summarize what we talked about in this meetup, so the main question was whether female leagues are a good or a bad thing. Like, is it creating more gaps in between genders, or is it actually helping female gamers to get introduced into esports? And I think that mostly based on what we discussed, it may be a good thing to keep the female leagues at least for like an introduction to esports for women, because other leagues are not male leagues anyway, so they can still apply for the other leagues if they want to. It might just be a better introduction into the world of esports for them to join a female league, for example. On this part, I would also like to thank Maša for giving us an insight from a competitive player perspective. So I'm gonna just paste some links in the chat real quick. So the first one is for your feedback about what else we can do, other topics. How did you like the meetup? The other one is for the meetup group for women in gaming. And the last one is our Slack channel where we can continue our conversations that we had here. So next meetup will be next month. And this week we also have tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow is an esports and gaming meetup, Slovenia esports and gaming meetup. And on Friday there's a League of Legends meetup if anyone would want to join. But on that note, thank you everyone for joining. I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully we'll see you on the other meetups as well.